Hi, I'm Shanika Center, and I am the Virtual Content Specialist for Middle School Science for English Language Learners. This is the third video of this lesson sequence on Google Slides. Today's video is going to focus on strategies for collaboration using Google Slides. We're going to use the Google Slides for three different strategies. Many of you are probably familiar with the Think, Write, Pair, Share. Usually it's called a Think, Pair, Share. But when you're working with multilingual learners and ELs, it helps to give them an opportunity to write down their thoughts, especially when you ask them to share it later on. So process is exactly the same. You're going to give students a prompt to respond to. You're going to give them some time to think about the question and write down their thoughts. Then you're going to pair students up using breakout rooms. If you need a refresher on breakout rooms, I talk about breakout rooms in my last video sequence. And then you're going to have students share their thoughts to come up with a consensus answer. So here's an example of how you can set up your Think, Write, Pair, Share using Google Slides. So there is a clearly designated area for partner 1 to write their thoughts, clearly designated area for partner 2, and then a space for them to synthesize their answer. This question is asking students to, what does this background information tell you about the lake problem? So to turn this into a more collaborative structure, we use the template that I showed you a few slides ago and gave students space to write their own thoughts and then synthesize a hypothesis together. So the next strategy for collaboration using Google Slides is the placemat or Jigsaw activity. I'm grouping these together because it's a very similar format. The only difference is what you're asking students to produce. Once you put students in groups of 3 or 4, you're going to give them a prompt that requires either a consensus or a collaboration of information. So the consensus would then be a placemat activity. If you want students to collaborate and share information to produce one answer, that would be a jigsaw. Then you're going to give students time to either explore their own resource or explore their group's resource. The time limit that you give them depends on the task and the resource that you have them look at. Then have students review each other's responses before collaborating on a final answer. This is a really key step in either of these activities because you want students to work together, right? The point is collaboration. So you want to make sure that you're encouraging discussion, encouraging sharing of ideas, and students can do this either through breakout rooms, or they can also use the chat feature on Google Slides. So this is a template that I use for a placemat activity. Each student can write their name in the yellow sections and they can write their thoughts below. Students can easily click on the box and have the ability to write whatever they want. Looking at the Jigsaw template, you can see that it is also very similar to the placemat format. The only difference is that in the Jigsaw, you would have the resources that you want students to look at linked. So students wouldn't have to go anywhere else. They could just click the link right on the template. Quickly, I'm going to show you how to use this template when you're looking at different questions from the lessons provided. So this is from Unit 4, Day 4, and the question is, what is an air mass? So the lesson does provide you with resources, but you can add different resources to help students, to differentiate the work for students, and to make it more conducive to a jigsaw. Once students explore their resources, they can come back together and create a group answer answering the prompt. So what is an air mass? I'm going to show you an example of how to use the same or similar template for a placemat activity. So again, placemat, students must come up with a consensus. So this question is taken from Unit 4, Day 4, and the prompt is, what are the weather conditions like in your region today? So students can all take time to look outside, look out the window, or look online to see what the weather is like, and then come up with a group consensus. Students can also use pictures to help describe what they're seeing. Once they do that, they can come up with a group answer. So last strategy is a virtual gallery walk. Again, this is similar to a gallery walk you would do in person, except everything would be online. So you're going to select 3 to 5 resources. The resources can be pictures, quotes, articles, samples of text, etc. You can also use one resource and break it into different parts. I'm going to show you how to do both using the lessons from this unit. You're going to put one resource or a part of resource on each slide and then provide a prompt for students to respond to regarding that resource. You can, students will work through these resources in a round. So you may start 4 students on slide 1, 4 students on slide 2, etc. Once students work their way through each slide, you can either give them another opportunity to go through and respond to their classmates' posts, or you can end it there. I'm going to show you first how to break one resource into a gallery walk with multiple slides. So this prompt comes from Unit 4, Day 7. So this is a full paragraph that students were expected to read. This is resource 1. You can chunk the text so students have the opportunity to really engage in the small piece of text for a given amount of time. Once students read the text, they would answer the question, what information does this resource tell you? Include new terms and definitions. So this was pulled from the lesson. You can, of course, modify these questions and prompts to be more conducive to the outcome you want to see, but again, I'm just pulling this straight from the lesson. So again, then I took the second part of the text right here, air masses, and I made that the second slide of the gallery walk. So now I'm going to show you how you could create a virtual gallery walk using different resources. So this is pulled again from Unit 4, Day 7, and students would have been working with 4 different resources, but rather than have them independently work on 4 different resources, you could create a virtual gallery walk that allows students to work collaboratively with each other on the different resources. So starting with resource 2, because we broke down resource 1 a few slides ago. So resource 2 provides students with all of the information or the entire resource, and then the prompt. Resource 3 was a video, so I linked the video in these slides. Students would just click the link, the linked video, and be able to watch without leaving the slides presentation. And then the same for video, resource 4, which is another video. And again, these prompts were the same for each of these resources. You can, again, modify these questions or prompts. And you can also add a lot of scaffolds. So if you want the second round through the gallery walk to be students engage in each other's posts, you can add sentence starters like agree, disagree, or students can even drag and drop hearts onto each other's posts to show that they like it, or thumbs up to show that they like it or agree with the new term or new information. Before we end, some tips. I alluded to this earlier. The most important thing you can do is give students time. If your students work a little bit slower, make sure that you are giving them enough time to engage in the independent part first, and then collaborate with their group or partner. You don't want to rush the independent work time, because that will make students feel unprepared and make them more hesitant to share their information. Tip 2, modify the work. If you want to try a certain activity, but the questions or tasks are not conducive to you doing that, or not aligned to your goals or the activity you want to do, feel free to modify the tasks. Tip 3, know your students. If your students prefer using images rather than text, pair images and text together to always give them that connection back to text. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email me, and I look forward to seeing you next week in a new sequence of videos.